Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Augusto Argandoña Fine Arts. Anytime in this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. If you want to learn about my virtual classes or want to see my paintings, you may do so by visiting my website at aafinearts.com. This tutorial is about painting a plaza or a square, if you will, with it has a lot of vegetation. I'm going to show very little sky here, maybe. I'm not sure yet. But I like this monument. I took this photograph at the Monterey Square in Savannah, Georgia. It's a beautiful area that has wonderful parks. So I'm doing one of them here. There's going to be a lot of cool colors here with the vegetation, a little bit of a building in the background, mostly vegetation, and I'm going to put some cool greens in this area, scattered with a few touches of warm greens, very light values in the background, and to emphasize this monument, which will be mostly white with a few areas in the shadow part of the monument that will have some color, and some of the lines and the sculptures also. Other than that, there will be pretty much light colors here. I'm going to start increasing the value of the vegetation here, the trees, and this area, which is in the shade, is going to be very dark, and to emphasize the light values in the middle ground and the background. So without much ado, I'm going to go ahead and start this tutorial. Get myself situated here at my drawing table. Okay, here we go. I'm going to make a mixture of very light mixture of yellow ochre and ultramarine, primarily the yellow ochre here, the shadow side of this monument. There's some sculpture in this corner also. Like that. Lighten that up a little bit. There, like that. And come over here also. I'm gonna wet this a little bit. This is the shadow side of the sculpture. Everything else is going to be pretty much white, except the lines and the sculptures on the front and the facade. Yeah. A little bit more there, like that. There's some type of sculpture detail on this corner, also on both sides, so I'm going to get that out of the way too. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit of ultramarine, some plain ultramarine, and add some of that ultramarine here. Without doing away with the yellow ochre. There, like that. also going to bring in a little bit of rose madder. Just a little light touch of rose madder in some areas. Yeah, like that. Okay, so now wake up my computer. Okay, here we go. I'm going to bring more of the yellow ochre and the ultramarine and do this this sculpture over here. I think it's an eagle. It looks like an eagle, something like that. So a little bit of little details there. So I'm going to bring in more ultramarine into that yellow ochre. And like that. More of the ultramarine mixed with the yellow ochre. I'm going to introduce a little bit of burnt sienna into that mixture also. Darker area there. Very carefully delineate those the shadow part of some of this sculpture. Like that. A bit more of the yellow ochre. I'm going to bring a little bit of violet here. There, like that. I have no idea what this is. I thought it was an eagle, so, but I don't know. Now I'm going to bring a little bit more of the yellow ochre into this. Looks like wings or something like that. There, okay. Then I'm going to do this other one. I think this is a couple of ladies sitting on each side of this this little detail. And there's some other detail from these sculptures like that. Yeah, okay. So much for that. Now I'm going to do the rest. There, like that. Bring a little bit more of that yellow ochre on this area. like I said, there's some type of sculpture here. And like that. A little bit of that purplish color there. This I'm going to put a little bit of that here too. And the ultramarine, clean ultramarine. And we'll put the yellow ochre on top of that. Like that. And there's a little bit of a relief here too. I'm going to leave the rest alone, but before I do that, I'm going to bring in some ultramarine blue. Maybe I'll start with a little bit of burnt sienna, clean burnt sienna. There, like that. But mostly the ultramarine to cool this area down. Because it's sort of as an angle towards the inside like that, it will be cooler. So I'm going to do this as well. There, like that, there. A little bit more of that ultramarine into this area. This area here too. There, like that. And all these trees here are going to cast some shadows onto this monument. So I'm going to go ahead and do these shadows. A little bit more of the ultramarine there too. There. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of those shadows here too. There. Okay. The monument is done. So now I can concentrate on everything else. I wanted to make this very, it's gonna be very bright. Once I start putting the colors around it, it's going to be very, very bright. So I'm going to start doing that now. All of this is dry now. So, like I said, I'm going to show a little bit of sky. So I'm going to add some water here without touching that monument. There, like that. A little bit more water. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of ultramarine with manganese blue, very little. little bit of a cool color against that warm color on the monument. Will blend really nicely. And also going to bring in maybe a little bit of the yellow ochre here too. There, like that. Good. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring some water to this area for the background without touching that monument. There's some concrete pad over here, so I'm gonna leave that white. And when that water, that area is wet like that, I'm gonna use some probably a little bit of raw sienna and cerulean blue, some cool color. For this, starting some of the trees that are going to be, the greenery that's going to be here. Without touching that monument. Bring it down, all the way down here. And without touching that concrete pad either. Like that. I'm gonna get a little bit more water. Now I'm gonna bring in some permanent sap green into that mixture with maybe a little bit of mineral violet. Kind of dull it down a little bit. Like that, on the wet paper. And down here, I'm going to change brushes to a round brush. I'm going to start bringing some warmer greens. For some of the foliage that's in this lower area in the background. Like I said earlier, it will be a combination of cool and warm greens. Right, like that. And also going to bring a little bit more of that permanent sap green. And this time I'm going to use some cobalt blue to cool down this edge while the paper is still damp. Cool colors here. That monument's beginning to stand out. Get rid of those dots. Bring this down like this from the sky. Yeah. And now I'm going to start darkening some areas. I'm going to bring another green, under sea green. It's a warmer green. But I'm going to combine that undersea green with ultramarine and really make this stand out. Like that. While the paper is wet. Clean my brush, remove the moisture from it, and start doing some blending here. Do some blending over here too. Yeah, like that. A little bit more of the warm green in the lower area. And I'm going to bring some clean cobalt blue right into this area. Kind of tone down this bright green somewhat without doing away with it. It's still, you can see the transparency of the color still there. This area is beginning to dry, so I'm going to pick up some more of this color and do some of the foliage texture. Like that. Same thing over here. And I'm going to darken some areas. Over here. Without touching that concrete pad. Just a little touches of cool greens here. I'll clean my brush and bring some of the warm greens back into this area. And where the paper is still wet. There. I'm going to let that dry. In the meantime, I'm going to do this other side. I'm going to use my flat brush, add some water here. No more sky here. Be very careful not to touch that monument with the water. There. I'm going to add some more water here. Not to touch that building either. I'm adding a little bit of color so I can see where I'm going. And I'm going to start adding color here, where the paper is wet. Being careful not to touch the monument. Like that. Also, I'm going to change brushes to smaller flat brush, and I'm going to do that building. That building has a, it's a brick building, so I'm going to use some burnt sienna with a touch of probably cadmium red. And some of this will bleed right into the green, which is just fine with me. A little bit more of the cadmium red. The window, leave a space for the windows. Long windows there. If it bleeds into that edge, it's fine, no problem with me. A little bit of white there. I'm going to bring in some yellow ochre into that as well. Kind of warm this up a little bit. And the yellow ochre into this area as well. Leaving some whites for the areas where there's going to be some greenery. And then I'm going to remove some of that moisture. You can retain the color but remove some. It's kind of strong, so I don't want it too sharp. I'm going to let that dry. And while that's drying, this is damp, which is great. And I'm going to bring in some more raw sienna with cobalt blue this time. Quite a bit of the cobalt blue, and make sure this is still wet. If it's not, I'm going to spray some water, making sure that I don't spray it onto the monument. There, like that. Like I said, some of the green will mix into the color of that building, which is fine. In fact, I wanted to do that. I don't want to separate everything here. I want the background to blend. We use more cobalt blue with the green. Make it darker without touching that monument. Be very careful to not touch the monument. Here's the blending of those colors, which is great. A little bit of the aureole yellow there. All of this very soft. Leave some space for the bushes. They're going to be there, and I'm going to add more of the green. Clean my brush. More cobalt blue. And more of those colors, the clean, cool colors against this white. I'm going to clean that later. In fact, I'm going to do that now. There we are. All these cool colors, nice cool colors. Blending right into that orangey color of the brick. Like that. I gotta keep adding some of these colors because this is gonna be drying. This will dry much lighter. I'm gonna change brushes. I'm gonna change colors also. Go to the under sea green, very strong with ultramarine blue, and start adding some of the darker greens here. I'm going to get rid of those marks. Very wet. Beautiful. Well, let that dry. And very wet area. And while that's drying, also I'm going to wake up, computer. Wake up. Also going to bring in some new gamboge, which is a yellow, really beautiful yellow, and add some of that new gamboge over here. Or some of the warmer greens. A little bit over here. It kind of blends right beautifully onto that wet paper. A little touch over here. And like that. I'm going to let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to make some aureolin yellow and cerulean blue for the grassy area underneath here. A little bit of raw sienna too. I don't want to make it into a line. I want to make it look more like a grassy area. And it goes right into that, by that concrete pad. A bit more raw sienna here. No, not that much. Just warm it up a little bit. A little bit more of the cerulean blue. Also going to bring a very light touch of the permanent sub-green. And add another dimension to this grass. Like that. See all these colors, how they blend in so beautifully? That's great. This grassy area also has some, the way they trim it has a little darker edge. So I'm gonna use some on the sea green with Payne's gray and ultramarine. And come over here. Or maybe not too much ultramarine. Mostly the under sea green And maybe a little bit of sepia. Yeah, I want to do that with the paints gray. That would be better. So I'm going to remove this there. Like that. Clean my brush and bring those colors right into that grassy area. Like that. Create the shape of the grasses too this way. See? Really nice technique. Like that. Yeah. A little bit of that over here too. There. Okay. That's done. There's also some mulch next to it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Get some burnt umber, and there's some mulch over here. Brings a little bit of sepia there too, for some of the darker areas of this mulch. And some burnt sienna also. Bring that all the way down here. And there's some little bit of a grassy area here too, so I'm going to start adding some of that greenery here. And going right into that mulch, all this greenery over here like that. I'm going to do this with all this green that I have in my palette. I'm going to do all that. This is a base color. I'm going to darken all of this much later. But I'm going to add some water here and go into these bushes here. And there will be some bushes over here. Start adding some of the colors for that greenery here, different from these other greens. And I'm going to start darkening some of those areas too. Bring some raw umber with that green and quite a bit of paints gray. Mix that with that raw umber and start doing this bush against that the detail of the leaves against that building. This is going to be darker. This is still kind of damp, so which is fine with me. More of the raw umber and the paints gray. Start doing this much darker now, and the details of this edge of this bush against that tree. I mean, against that building. Well, the paper is wet in some areas and dry in others, which will be just fine. See, like that. Yeah, like that. Then I'm gonna bring in some cooler color, bring some cobalt blue into that mixture and cool this down. And before I do any more there, I'm gonna, with a damp brush, I'm gonna blend this right into this foreground for now. I'm gonna cover that later. Also, I'm going to, now that I have all those colors there, I'm gonna increase the value of that brick. Make this a little darker. There we are. Also, I'm going to bring in some cerulean yellow and cerulean blue, some warmer greens over here on the opposite side of this monument. And I'm gonna, a little bit of this concrete pad over here, but I'm not going to show it. All of this is greenery. And I'm going to combine raw umber with ultramarine blue for a cooler green, darker green over here. And leave only the light green, the light warm green on the very top. And bring this cool green right at the edge of this monument. Make it stand out. There, like that. Now, I'm going to bring more of that raw umber, mixed with, this time with the permanent sap green and Payne's gray. Make this darker here. Okay, like that. But I'm gonna blend it too. Also, this is almost dry. This is still kind of damp, but I'm gonna start doing some texture of these trees here. Bring some cooler green. Like that. Little darker areas here. Yeah. Okay. This is dry now, so I will work on that. Take some sepia, some ultramarine blue, make it dark, make it really dark. And then this come over here and do this, you can add a little bit of the red color there too. Yeah. A few indications of the brick, not much. And like that. The shadows. And the rest of the glass, we're gonna like that. There. The building is done. Now I'm going to wake up my computer first. Okay, here we are. Okay, now I'm gonna work on this area. Add some textures here. Some cool colors. Not much there, a little bit goes a long way. Same thing here, I'm gonna do some of this over here. It's too dark. And blend it right into the background with a thirsty brush. Yeah, like that. There. All right. Now I'm gonna do this tree. Be a fairly dark tree here. Change brushes. Oh yeah. that. Get rid of those white areas. Yeah, like that. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna add more branches into those other areas too. Here, there's another little sapling tree. Like that. And in the distance, there's some other one here too. Like that. There's some over here. These are the little things that make the painting really stand out. This coming from the side. Yeah. And there's another tree here, a little thicker. Like that. We'll bring some of these branches here too, like that. There's a lot of branches here, and going in different directions. I think this is an oak, so those branches go in different directions. So yeah, like that. All right, now I'm gonna do a little bit of color for this concrete pad here, the shadow areas. Yeah. Yeah, like that. And now comes the real dark area. This in the foreground has a lot of dark. So before I do that, I'm going to get some permanent sub-green, quite a bit of it, with ultramarine blue. And this area here is going to have those cool colors. All this is gonna be really cool. Undersea green, sepia, and paints gray, really dark. More undersea green, really dark areas here. I'm going to change brushes to get the shape of these grasses. I don't think the grasses, there's some type of bush that they put here. Make that much darker. That. A lot of raw umber with a sepia, a little bit of sepia, paints gray. Like that. Really dark in this area. Change brushes again. Undersea green, raw umber, paints gray. Like that. Really dark. Clean my brush there and pick up the other brush and do more of these dark grasses here. They're really dark. I'm going to overlap some of these other areas, or some of these taller grasses, to really emphasize this dark area. There, like that. There. Okay, with that guy, also going to do a little bit more of this bush on the right hand side. Has some branches on the main trunk. There, like that. Do a little bit more of those, that type of detail here too. darken this area here a little bit. Over here. A little darker bush there, also cooler, like that. But I'm gonna blend that into the background too. There, like that. Soften this, it's too harsh. There, like that. So now, because of I have all these dark colors, I need to add a little bit more shadows to this monument. So I'm going to use some yellow ochre, a little bit of cobalt blue, a little bit of rosemary, and like that. A little bit more of the cobalt blue. There, like that. And also going to use some cobalt blue to tone down this dark area. There, like that. I'm going to use some manganese blue also. There we are. A little bit of that blue here. Yeah. And now I'm going to do that raw iron fence. For that I'm going to combine ultramarine blue, very dark, with Payne's gray. I'm sorry, with sepia. And this is dry, so I'm going to come over here. There's one post here, like this. There's another one right here. There's another one right here. And I'm going to put another one right here. There, like that. And then I'm going to add more of those dark colors. And there's a line here going like this. In between the foliage there, like that. And there are some circles here. Those are, I need to make this really darker. Much darker. A little bit more water in my brush, more of this sepia and ultramarine. Like that. And now there's some verticals. A little bit more water in my brush and do these verticals. And they have a little bit of an edge, a little detail at the top. I'm not going to do all of them, just some that like that. And there's a little bit of a smaller little post here, and another one over here, like that. Oh, I have another one over here like that. And that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clean my small brush, bring a little bit more of the yellow ochre, and do a little bit more of those details. Yeah. And I'm going to also add a very, very light touch of reflective color, reflective green, very light onto this sculpture or this monument. Just a slight touch, that's it. And the painting is done. I'm going to remove this tape. I'm going to bring a dark board and put this against a dark board so you can see how this looks like. It will be much better. Before I do that, I'm going to also, where's my brush here? There's some darker branches coming from this right corner. And there's something hanging, I think it's moss. Let that dry. But I think I'm going to put some vegetation there too. some greenery. There. Okay, I'm going to read the dartboard, and here goes. But this paper is still kind of damp. I'm going to minimize it, and there it is. Monterey Square in Savannah, Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful parks that city has. Thank you for watching this painting. Please visit my website at aafinearts.com, where you will see information about my virtual classes and selection of my paintings and prints. Until next time.